Kia ora koutou. Welcome to HR Chats with me, to Radar, where we chat all things HR and HR related. Today, it's particularly HR related. It's the prestigious HRNZ Award nominations. They're open for submissions. That could be you. It could be someone you know. Have you entered? Well, we're going to talk all about how to enter, what mistakes people often make with their entries, and simply why, indeed, it is good to enter. The NZHR Awards are organised by HRNZ that recognise excellence and outstanding achievement within New Zealand's HR community. That's you. The awards provide individuals and teams with the opportunity to take part in a process of discovery, awareness, acknowledgement, and achievement. And of course, if they turn up to the evening, they get to take part in a delicious dinner and catch up with their friends. It provides an insight, of course, into the value that HR adds to organisations. To help me discuss all of this today, we have two wonderful guests. I'm talking to Nick McKissack, CEO of HRNZ, and Elena Calvert, Recruitment Manager at the University of Otago and National Vice President of the HRNZ Board. So, hello. Firstly, Elena, why should people enter the awards?
Because we are doing amazing work and we need to celebrate it. People professionals often work on the background, as we know, and this is our time to show everyone the impact we have on our organizations. Submitting an entry really makes you think about what you do and the impact you have. But even more importantly, I think we just need to share our mahi.
Often a lot of it, it's there, and you and your team may know about it, your organization may know about it, but the amazing work that you do might not be known by a lot of other people.
No, and that's one of the things that I think lots of people just don't realize, that how much the case studies that do come out on the back of the awards from the finalist submissions, how they inspire our colleagues and our business leaders to try something new, or ultimately, we're trying to make organizations a better place to work. But if we tell others in HR community about our successes, and then they create their own versions of that in their businesses, just imagine the scale of positive change we can actually influence. That's something we don't often think when we go, oh, we've got this little initiative and I don't know if other people want to know it. I've just seen it happen over and over again when people read the case studies and they go, oh, we could try something like that. This is an idea we can own and make our own and really create a difference. So why wouldn't you want to enter the awards?
Why wouldn't you want to enter? Hey, now, Nick, I noticed something that Elena said in there, and I think it's often really important, is actually entering something like this, you get a really good chance to sit back and assess or reassess what you've actually done. You end up almost doing a sort of a study on your own work.
Yes, I agree. It's a great opportunity for people to reflect on what they've done and what they've learned, and really, I suppose, what it is about what they've done that be worth sharing with other people. And there's always good gems in there. And this is, one of the great things about HRNZ as a network, is that we can do this sharing and spreading of the sort of best practice.
Yes. So speaking of best practice, awards always need to have a look at themselves and think, are we reflecting the community right? Any new award categories this year?
Well, funny you should ask. We have 3 new award categories this year, actually. So first of those is around wellbeing leadership. So with the pandemic in particular, HR people have had to step up a lot more around the wellbeing of their people. And so we really wanted to set up an award that could shine a bit of light on some of the people that have really been leading the way in this area. So that's a new one. Another one is building sustainability through people. We're very keen for HR professionals to get involved and champion the cause of sustainability in their organisations. So there's many ways we can do this. So this award's really to try and reflect some of the good work going on in that area. And then finally, we've got the new Academic Impact Award, and that's we're very closely aligned with the academic HR community. They're doing some great research work in there and great teachings. And so we just really wanted to give them an opportunity to participate in the program and be recognised for the work they're doing.
Great. I don't know, Elena, were you involved in any way in kind of discussing these new awards? Because I guess even that, even thinking about those means you're having another kind of look, a different lens upon not only your organisation, but where HR is going in general.
Absolutely. And that is something that as a board we discuss with Nick all the time, is what is the direction, where are we going, what are some of the trends, what is actually becoming part of the HR or people professional function, and how we make sure that we bring it to the forefront of people's mind. Like sustainability is a good example of that. It's something we deliberately chose to focus on because we think this is very important for our country, but for HR profession as well.
Yeah. Hey, look, often people are a little daunted by, how much work there is involved. You open up the entry form and you look at all the questions and the criteria and how much you have to do. Is it a lot of work to enter the awards for people?
Well, I can speak from experience here. I have entered in that HR awards several times myself in the past, both as part of the Otago branch, the branch of the year category, but also on behalf of the organization. And I can truly say that the amount of time and effort required depends a little bit on the category you enter into, because there are individual ones and there are organizational ones, but also on the initiative. But more often than not, you would have all the information you need there already. And all you need to do is to kind of weave it into the criteria. So it's apply the criteria lens of what you know and what you have done and collected. So it's not nearly as onerous as some people think. And the hardest thing is to start. Because you always go, oh, look, I'm going to do this. But actually sitting down, opening criteria and start writing your thoughts, that's the hardest part. And then it just flows because you know it. You lived it, you implemented it, you're passionate about it. And you never have a problem sharing it with the world once you get started.
Yeah. And interesting, I guess the criteria are really important. How much attention should people pay to making sure that they are answering the questions that the criteria are asking for?
Very important. And that's what is provided to give people a bit of an anchor in how to analyze their work. And that provides the judges a bit of a template to work for. So they make sure they're comparing everyone with the same lens, because all initiatives are very different.
They are. Who does the judging, Nick? Who sits there and passes their experienced eye over all of these entries?
Well, we have a large number of judges actually. So every award has 3 judges on a panel. And those panels are consisting of generalist HR professionals or specialists, so it's a specialist award, or sometimes people external to HRNZ, so friends of HRNZ, if you like, people like Kirsten Patterson from IOD, Bridget Williams, who does a lot of work in sustainability. So we bring in experts to help depending on what the nature of the award is, but everyone has 3 judges. And they tend to be people that are chartered, or they're board members, or they're people that are, strongly involved in the HR community in New Zealand.
Right. You ever sort of put a call out for people? If people think, I wouldn't mind being a part of the sort of a judging panel. I think I've got some experience. They can get in touch with you. Should that be their particular bent when it comes to awards?
Absolutely. We really like rotating judges a little bit, getting some fresh perspectives. So we do that. Like every year, we'll have a bit of a change in the panels, or just change people between panels. And I think that's pretty healthy because it just gives, just a different set of eyes on these things. But yeah, absolutely. If people are interested, they just need to drop me a line.
Right, because I actually think, particularly when you're judging something within your own field, you end up coming away with quite a lot of knowledge about yourself as well. Have you done any judging, Elena?
Yes, I have, and I totally agree that you learn from those submissions, from every single one of them, and that's why I'm so passionate about answering it earlier. Do put a submission in, because actually. There is, I think, the feedback we get from the people putting the submissions in, that's how much they learn themselves about their organizations and about their initiatives. and then they can take it to the next project that they roll out. So yeah, it's a win-win for everyone.
A win-win. Now, speaking of win-win, what are the judges, what are they really looking for when it comes to assessing the entries?
Well, we talked about the criteria already, and that each category has the clear criteria for a reason. It is designed to make it easier for applicants to write their submissions because they have that anchor, that template to work from. If you follow the criteria, make sure they're addressed, you're on the right track. That's the hardest part done, is planning, right? In addition, from my perspective, what we want to see most of all as judges is the impact, because the initiative, you can have all the great things, but if you didn't articulate the impact of your initiatives, it can be a bit hard to know what kind of difference it has made. So any measurable data you can gather will strengthen your application. And that's something we're not very good at necessarily as HR professionals, to make sure we collect that as we go. We're getting a lot better at it, but just being conscious that actually the feedback, data, anything like this will help you strengthen your application and make the impact clearer.
Very important. Nick, you would see a lot of these entries. You've probably seen them over there. Any common mistakes that people make?
Well, I think the most common mistake actually is not to enter. And I think people are a little bit shy about things they've done. Maybe they think we're only partway through the journey, or maybe they think things like, well, this is actually designed for larger organizations. But actually, we want to include all of these case studies in the awards process. And I think too, a huge number of our members belong to small to medium organizations. So we really want examples and things that are going on in that sort of sector that we can shine a light on, because those are super helpful to the whole membership. So I think the biggest mistake is to think it's a bit hard, or I'm not ready. And in fact, you've probably got some great work you're doing that's really good to put into the awards process.
The thing, often it's that kind of, there's a sort of a modesty as well, isn't there? Or they think, it might not be quite winning. But, I know from having hosted a lot of awards, even getting up there as one of the finalists, people are sitting in the audience, they're going through the brochure and they go, oh, I want to find out more about that. And they'll catch up with people at the event or afterwards and say, hey, I saw you did that thing. What's going on there? And in a way, it's a showcase of all of the great and the good work that's being done.
Absolutely.
Anything in particular, Elena, that you're hoping to see come through in this year's entries?
Every year I probably would say the same, and Nick just stole a little bit of my thunder, but we would love to see more of the regional organizations putting their submissions in, because there is amazing mahi that's done in the regions, and often we don't celebrate it enough. So, and same applies to the smaller in size organizations. If you've done something you're proud of, don't think twice and put an entry in, because the awards is definitely not just for the big players, but people tend to think it's easier to win if you're part of the large organization and an enterprise. But actually it's all about the work and the impact. So if you have done it, then it doesn't matter how big you are, and you'll be amazed how much the big players can learn from some of the smaller initiatives that people with less bureaucracy can actually make happen much easier and can demonstrate the difference that they make.
Yeah. Actually, some of those smaller, more nimble, more innovative agencies who have to really think and have the ability to do something, what a great platform to showcase this. And look, every year at an awards night, there are highlights. Any big highlights from last year's awards or previous awards for you, Nick?
Well, last year's awards program was our most successful ever. So we had most submissions we've ever had. And I think that's because HR people have been so busy and had so much to do over the last 2 years, especially with the pandemic. And there's been a whole lot of new things that have come into their remit. So there were a lot of stories to tell, and we saw so many excellent stories and a lot of individuals entering the individual categories. So that was a big highlight that people got so involved. We also introduced Mana Tangata Awards for, work going on in the sort of multicultural space. And those and our new Supreme Award added a real kind of new dimension to the actual award ceremony itself. It was a fantastic celebration. Everybody that was there really loved it, and the biggest one we've had. So a lot of highlights for me last year.
Elena, how about you? Anything that sticks out over the years from the awards?
Yeah, well, I think it's an opportunity to come together and celebrate. I always say HR professionals don't get a chance to let the hair down and celebrate, because we often support the change or we work in the background. But here you are center stage, and it's all about you and the difference you make. And it's very, very inspiring. As much as it sounds a bit fluffy potentially, but actually, I think everyone comes away from the awards go, we're doing really good work, we're making a difference, and it keeps you going for another year. Because it is hard work, and the last 2 years been absolutely grueling for HR professionals. So we deserve to be celebrated and feel like we're doing amazing work and we're making a difference. So that's a big thing. Any award ceremony, I come out from feeling just really good about what I do.
Great. I always come out of awards feeling, the ones that I host, feeling that I haven't done enough with my life, because people are amazing. And honestly, again, one of the most important things I think with awards is then to take those stories that you see at an awards night and just talk about them with people, to say, wow, I saw this amazing thing. Did you know that these people are doing this or doing that? But hey, look, that's all in the future. And the most important question of all, Nick, what is the closing date for this year's submissions?
Right. So the closing date is Monday, the 31st of October. And I think it's 5 p.m. So we do it on the Monday, so that people can do all the finishing touches on the weekend, or maybe they're looking for a sign off on Friday, gives them Monday to actually make the submission to us. Plenty of time still to get those submissions in. So get into it.
Get into it. And this is, of course, the 24th of these awards.
Yes.
A lot of awards. Yeah, far out. Hey, well, look, there you go. I know I always say as well, you don't get to have really great winners without having really good finalists pushing them all the way. So, if you know somebody who should enter, if you think you should enter, but you're not quite sure, enter anyway. Anyone in particular, that's sitting out there watching this, if you could give them one piece of advice, Nick, and then Elena, what would it be?
Well, first piece of advice really is just to get into it. But on your point about nominations, always remember you can nominate other people. So if you've got a colleague doing awesome work and they're a little bit shy, nominate them. And we've seen that happen a little bit. It's fantastic when it happens. I love ringing somebody to tell them they're a finalist, and it's the first they've heard of it. It's very exciting.
I was going to ask, should you disclose the fact that you're nominated? You can just nominate people without them even knowing.
Well, that's right. Probably better to let them know, I think.
Well, everyone loves a surprise. Elena.
I'll just say, just get started. Just have a look on the website, look at the different categories and think, is there any of the amazing things I've done in the last couple of years that actually might fit the criteria, and then sitting down and start working on that. That's the hardest thing, but it's also the one that you need to do sooner rather than later, and it's not nearly as onerous as you think.
So does it have to be work within the last 12 months, or is it the last 24 months? What's the sort of the date that work can be encompassed by?
I don't think there is a particular deadline, but because we're talking about initiative and an impact, so if something is still ongoing, it might be a bit harder to show the impact. That would be the one thing I will say. But generally, if people relate, I think, more to the last couple of years, and you can correct me there if I'm wrong. And we tend to see initiatives that could have initiated a long time ago, but they came to fruition in the last couple of years.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Elena. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get into touch with either Elena or Nick, or indeed have a chat with your local branch, whoever it may be. The most important thing is to enter the prestigious NZ HR Awards. Nominations close October 31st. It's a Monday, 5 p.m. All the very best. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Elena.